If you've ever felt drained by your spending habits or found yourself drowning in debt because of unnecessary purchases, the no-buy and low-buy challenge might be just what you need. I totally get that feeling of constantly wanting more or worrying about being stuck in a cycle of overspending. I've been there, and taking on this challenge made a huge difference in my financial situation and mindset. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get started with these challenges, plus share some real tips to stay motivated and overcome those shopping urges. By the end, you'll have a clear, actionable plan to take control of your spending and reset your lifestyle. Let's get started. The first thing you need to do when starting a no-buy or low-buy challenge is to figure out why you're doing it in the first place. This might sound simple, but trust me, it's super important. If you don't have a clear reason, you're likely to give up when things get tough or when the temptation to buy something new pops up. So take a moment and ask yourself, why do you want to take on this challenge? Is there a specific goal you're working towards, like saving for a down payment on a house? Or are you just trying to get rid of the endless clutter around you and live more simply? Maybe you're hoping to reset your spending habits and take control of your finances. Now here's the key. Be very specific about your why. Don't just say, I want to save money. That's too vague. Get detailed. For example, instead of, I want to save money, try, I want to put $200 into my savings account this month so I can build a buffer for unexpected expenses. Or maybe, I want to stop buying unnecessary things for a month so I can see what I truly need in my life. Here are a couple of examples to get the ball rolling. I'm doing this challenge because I've been feeling like I'm always running low on money at the end of the month, and I want to have a solid savings cushion to feel more secure. The constant influx of new stuff in my house was making me feel anxious. I want to take this month to clear out the clutter and really think about what's essential. Here's a simple but powerful tip. Write your why down somewhere you'll see it every day. You can put it on your phone screen, on a sticky note on your desk, or even in your planner. That way, when you feel tempted to buy something, you can quickly remind yourself of your goal and keep that bigger picture in mind. Once you've nailed down your why, the next step is to set some clear, practical rules for your challenge. Having specific boundaries is essential because it makes the whole process feel more manageable and keeps you from feeling overwhelmed. Without a set of rules, things can quickly get blurry, and you might end up buying stuff you didn't plan for, just because you didn't have any guidelines in place. So, start by making your rules very specific. For instance, you could say, I'm not buying any new clothes for the next 30 days, or I'm only going to spend on necessities like food, toiletries, and gas for the next 2 weeks. The goal here is to create a plan that you can follow, but isn't so strict that it's unrealistic. To make it easier to stick to your rules, be clear about what qualifies as an essential purchase. You could decide, I'm only buying things like groceries, medicine, and cleaning supplies for the next month. That way, when you're standing in front of something you want to buy, you'll know if it fits into your set of approved items or not. Here's an example of how you could lay out your rules. For the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to buy any takeout. I'll meal prep at home instead. I'm giving myself a $20 limit for any non-essential purchases for the next 30 days. If I want something, I'll have to think about whether I really need it. For this challenge, I'm not buying anything unless it's absolutely necessary for work. That means no random gadgets, no new decor, just what I need to function day to day. You can make these rules as strict or flexible as you want, but try to stick to the core ideas. The key is not to make them so complicated that they feel like a burden, but also not so loose that they don't keep you in check. For example, it's okay to adjust things as you go if something unexpected pops up, but try to stay committed to the idea of avoiding impulse buys. And here's a tip. Make sure your rules feel achievable. If you set a goal that's too challenging right from the start, you're more likely to feel discouraged. Instead, try starting small and building up. Maybe start with a 1-week no-buy challenge, and then extend it if you feel confident. The clearer you are with your rules, the easier it will be to stay focused. Having a simple, straightforward set of guidelines will help you stay on track and avoid unnecessary spending. One of the best ways to stay on track with your low-buy or no-buy challenge is to plan ahead. The more prepared you are, the less likely you are to get caught up in impulse purchases. If you can anticipate what you really need in the upcoming month, you'll be able to avoid unnecessary buys when you're in the store or scrolling online. So, take a look at your calendar and think about what's coming up. Do you have any birthdays or special occasions to celebrate? Maybe there's a holiday or an event that requires some extra planning. It's important to make a list of everything you might need for the next month, so you're not caught off guard when you realize you forgot something important. Let's say you know you're running low on things like toiletries. Maybe you're down to the last roll of toilet paper or your shampoo is almost empty. These are things you need, so they should go on your list. But then ask yourself, are there any non-essential things you might be tempted to buy just because they're on sale or because you're browsing around? For example, maybe you've seen a cute jacket on sale, but you don't really need it right now. The key here is to acknowledge that yes, it's tempting, but it doesn't serve a purpose in the immediate future. You could write your list down or even put it on your phone as a reminder. Once you've done that, go through it and prioritize. What's urgent? What can wait? Could some of those purchases wait until after your challenge is over? If it's something you've been eyeing for a while, maybe you could hold off and reassess later. Sometimes that extra time helps you realize if you really need it or just want it because it's available. Here's an example of how this might play out in real life. I know my grocery stock is low on a few basics, like eggs, rice, and fresh veggies. Those go on the list for sure. But when I think about the rest of the stuff I've been eyeing lately, like a new phone case or a cute pair of sneakers that I've seen in ads, I know I don't need them. My phone case is fine, and my sneakers still have plenty of life in them. So I'll cross those off my list and focus on the essentials. By planning ahead and organizing your purchases, you help yourself avoid making those spur-of-the-moment buys that don't really add value. It's all about staying mindful and intentional. Instead of just buying whatever catches your eye, you're giving yourself the opportunity to pause, think, and make better decisions about your spending. Taking the time to make a plan for what's really necessary in the coming month also helps you stay focused and reduces the temptation to go off track. It's about being aware of your needs, not your wants. And that's a huge part of living more intentionally. Let's be honest, shopping can be addictive. Sometimes it's not about needing something, but just about the feeling it gives us. It could be a way to relieve boredom or stress. But here's the thing. When you're on a no-buy or low-buy challenge, it's important to recognize that urge and find other ways to fill that gap. So, instead of reaching for your wallet when you're bored or overwhelmed, let's talk about some alternatives that could be more rewarding in the long run. First off, think about how you can get creative. One of my favorite things to do is organize my closet. I know it might not sound like fun, but you'd be surprised at how satisfying it can be to sort through your things, donate what you don't need, and give everything a fresh new space. Or maybe you can try a DIY project using items you already have at home. You don't need to buy something new to create something fun or functional. For example, I once turned a few old jars into cute storage containers by simply painting them. It was a fun way to spend an afternoon without spending a dime. Another great alternative is to get active. I found that when I feel like I need to shop to relieve stress, going for a walk or trying a free workout video at home helps clear my mind and refocus my energy. There's something about moving your body that resets your mental state and reduces the impulse to buy things just to pass the time. If you enjoy unwinding, reading could be the perfect alternative. Instead of scrolling through shopping sites or ads, grab a book you've been meaning to read, or listen to a free audiobook or podcast. There are so many amazing free resources online, and you can get lost in a good story or learn something new. It's a much more enriching way to spend your time than online shopping. Lastly, don't forget about the power of nature. Whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the woods, or just sitting outside with a cup of tea, being outdoors is free and incredibly refreshing. Nature has this calming effect that helps you reset mentally and emotionally, and it's the perfect way to disconnect from the shopping mentality. By finding alternatives to shopping, you're not just avoiding unnecessary purchases. You're creating new habits that are more enriching and sustainable. These activities help you fill the space that shopping used to occupy with things that genuinely benefit your well-being. You won't feel deprived. Instead, you'll be filling your time with meaningful activities that align with the intentional living you're striving for. Now that you're a few days or weeks into your no-buy or low-buy challenge, it's time to talk about tracking your progress. Why is this so important? Well, when you can see how much you've saved or how well you've stuck to your rules, it's like an instant confidence booster. It reminds you that you're making real progress, and it helps keep you motivated to keep going. So, how can you track your progress? You can keep things simple, whether it's jotting down your wins in a journal, using an app, or even setting up a simple spreadsheet. The key is to track what you've saved, and also to note the things you've avoided buying. You'll be amazed at how quickly it adds up, and when you see the numbers, it really hits home how much you're saving. For example, I like to track how much I would have spent on things like clothes or non-essential items, and then compare that to my savings. It's like a little reminder of why I started this challenge in the first place. But here's the thing. Progress isn't just about the money. It's also about the small wins. Every time you hit a milestone, like making it through a week without any unnecessary purchases, celebrate that. You don't need to go all out, but treat yourself to something small that feels meaningful. Maybe you could make yourself a special homemade treat, like a nice cup of coffee or bake something you love. Or if you've really been killing it, maybe take a day to declutter or organize a part of your home that's been stressing you out. That's a reward in itself, right? These little celebrations are super important because they reinforce the good habits you're building. When you recognize your achievements, no matter how small, it makes the challenge feel a lot more rewarding. It helps you stay on track and remember that each step you take is leading you to a more intentional, clutter-free life. The key takeaway here is that tracking your progress and celebrating wins doesn't just keep you accountable, it makes the whole process feel more enjoyable. When you're seeing results, it's easier to stay committed, and before you know it, you'll have built up some great new habits that stick. That's a wrap for today's video. I hope these tips help you kick off your own no-buy or low-buy challenge. Remember, it's all about being intentional with your spending and setting clear goals. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe for more tips on simplifying life and living with purpose. Drop a comment if you're taking on the challenge. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.